Melee weapons are a touchy subject in this game. A lot of people love them, a lot hate them, and some people see them as free kills. Personally, I dislike Sword and Riot Shield the most, but I don't mind their existence. I dislike fighting swords because every time they attack, I have to break my neck to readjust my aim on them, and I dislike Riot Shields because I can never figure out how to hit them properly. Aside from those two, I usually enjoy fighting melee players. It's nice to switch mindsets from shoot someone more than you get shot to baiting out attacks and finding time to attack. And using melee is quite fun. I don't use light melees much because I don't play that class very much. The Riot Shield is fun when I'm roleplaying with a turret in the breach drill. Dual blades can have their moments, and the sledgehammer, I made a video on that one. Overall, the variety melee weapons add help make the game a lot more enjoyable, and I would like to see the finals add new melee weapons that have unique functions and can sit alongside the other melee weapons. Hold on, I think I missed a weapon. Let me take a look again. Sword, dagger, Riot Shield, dual blades, and oh yeah, that one. Imagine a family that has 3 kids. The oldest kid plays football, and he's been playing it for years, and he's really good at it. The youngest kid is an artist, who, while not being the best artist, is constantly praised for his artwork and his effort that he's putting into it, and it's displayed all over the house. The middle child, he does something. I think he's good at math. This is how I would describe the spear. This melee weapon just exists among the others, and while it is special in its own way, nobody really cares. I mean, if you're playing a nice casual game of Quick Cash and you see a dagger, you'd think he can get a backstab in an important moment like stopping a last second steal. You see a sword, you'd expect them to be dashing around enemies and dealing a good amount of damage. Riot Shield, you might see them taking space and beating people, maybe even shielding for you when you're stealing and being a very good support player with Heal Beam. Dual Blades, similar to the Riot Shield but a bit more aggressive since the deflection isn't as good as the blocking. See a sledgehammer, you want him to just break shit, right? But if you see a spear, you'd think, why didn't this guy just pick the sledgehammer? It's funny because the spear probably is the most unique melee weapon of the bunch. Every other melee weapon has a mechanic that you can just do alongside swinging and using gadgets, like using a sledgehammer secondary attack or a Riot Shield block, with the only cost being a loss of mobility, and in the sledgehammer's case, a slower attack, but in exchange you do more damage. With the spear, as soon as you right click, you're locked into this triple swing virtual human Beyblade animation, which restricts your movement to walking slowly and jumping. You can emote cancel it and swap to other gadgets, but you still can't sprint or use the spear's primary attack until the non-existent animation is finished, unless I'm just doing something wrong. By the way, these are just the issues from its secondary attack, which you technically don't have to use, right? You can still just swing the spear. Well, let's talk about that. The spear, much like the dual blades, has a 3-hit combo attack. This makes sense as they were both released Season 3. Funnily enough, they both have attacks you generally want to avoid hitting. The dual blade's final attack can be substituted for quick melee against mediums, but against lights, it makes almost no difference. The spear is actually the opposite. When using the spear, ideally you want to miss the first swing since it does less damage than the stabs. On lights, if you land the first swing and first stab, they're left with the smallest sliver of health. You could probably cough and they die. But if you miss that first swing, then land the next 2 stabs, they're dead, saving you another attack or quick melee. This same logic can be applied to mediums as well. Missing 2 swings but landing 3 stabs kills, but landing just 1 swing means you have to hit them a total of 4 times to kill them. Heavy is the only class that this doesn't apply to, unless you're only landing swings, which would add an extra hit, but no matter what combo you land, they'll drop in 5 hits. Keep in mind, this run and swing playstyle might not even work, because on top of doing the math and trying to miss swings to minimize hits required, you're still just a heavy. Keeping up just isn't your thing, and when compared to the sledgehammer, Spear just falls flat, much like the throw rework that gets suggested every once in a while. Remember, the sledgehammer drops faster, deals more consistent damage compared to the spear, and does more damage than the spear. Not to mention, the sledgehammer has the ability to break stuff, which allows for added mobility and utility the spear just doesn't have, unless you're playing Heaven or Else, in which case, it's still worse than the heavy hitter's sledgehammer.
So if the primary attack sucks, and the secondary attack sucks, then why should I use this weapon?
Here's the thing. I never said the secondary attack sucked. Earlier, I only talked about the downsides of letting it rip, but now it's time to focus on the upsides. When you spin, you win. Sometimes. Remember what I said about sometimes killing lights in 2 hits? With a secondary attack, it's always 2 hits. Against mediums, it's always 3 hits. Against heavies, they can survive all 3, but you can also chain your secondary to be one continuous tornado, or you can just poke them in the eyes after you're done spinning. But wait, it gets better. See, the only real advantage of the swing attack is its ability to hit multiple enemies at once. While you can do that with the poke, your odds of hitting multiple enemies with the swing is greater since you don't have to move your crosshair between enemies during the duration of the stab animation. But when you spin, you can hit everyone and everything around you. Lights, mediums with heal beams up a heavy's ass, the heavy with a heal beam up his ass, the healing emitter, the nearby mines, the nearby APS, and the guardian turret that's looking at you funny. Did I tell you you can jump while spinning too? This might not be too helpful, but who knows. Any extra mobility you get aside from walking is a benefit.
With Shoestring, how am I supposed to use the secondary attack effectively? You said yourself that mobility sucks when it's active, and Heavy doesn't have good mobility to begin with. How good can this attack be when I can't get close enough to use it?
Fair point. In order for the spear's secondary attack to be effective, you have to have multiple enemies around you. Fortunately, there are a few ways to achieve this. Most obviously, you can use this around a cash out steal to clear anyone out from a dome shield or anyone trying to body block. Charge and Slam would simply knock people away or break a floor, which can be effective, but probably won't lead to any kills. Spin has a good shot at killing enemies because it catches them by surprise and does continuous damage rather than just one burst of damage. You could also use the Lock Bolt to keep enemies from running or make them stick together for that triple kill. While the Winch Claw is good at bringing people close to you, you could also fling them behind you if you use your secondary attack too quickly, meaning they're either farther away from you or you got an environmental kill, which is nice. If you do want to use the primary attack with the Winch Claw, it's not really worth it. It doesn't do much damage like I said before, and the Sledgehammer would be a better option. The final tactic is actually a game mode, Power Shift. Generally, Sledgehammer is better than the Spear, but in Power Shift, the tables are turned. The Spear's radius is massive and takes up a large portion of the platform. Combine this with a Lock Bolt and a big ledge or a jump pad to land in the middle of the platform, you can easily retake. Once you retake, put up some barricades to more effectively defend yourself and force enemies to get closer to you, and you're about to bring the platform to victory. Keep in mind this works better as a switch option, not a starting choice. And you should also make sure you have a teammate to help you reach high ground. After that, just spin away and hope your team gets the signal to push in. I do want to say again that I don't think a throw rework for this weapon would work. There's too many variables and too much that could be broken and not much middle ground to work with. Like, what would the throw cooldown be? Would there even be a cooldown? How much damage would it do? Would it headshot? Do you lose your weapon for a while after throwing it? Do you have to pick it back up? If so, what if it gets thrown off the map? Does it stick to enemies? If so, can they just run away with it and leave you weaponless? If it teleports back to you after a while, are you still just weaponless for that amount of time? A throwable spear or javelin would work better as a new gadget, since much like grenades, you can throw those and be left without them and be fine. The spear has a role and a place, but it just isn't strong enough to hold its own. And with all that said, you can tell that this weapon really is just a one-trick pony. Most spear players aren't really a threat, and if you adapt to a platform spear warrior, it shouldn't be too difficult to take it back. The biggest threat you face up against a platform spear is their team gaining confidence after getting a retake. I don't mean to make this a hate video on the spear. I really enjoy the weapon, and I've had some really good moments with it. But when it comes to heavy weapons and melee weapons in general, it'll always just be one that looks cool. until it gets a buff, which makes it actually competent without relying on the secondary attack to do all the work. And to all you spear mains out there, keep swinging, stabbing, and spinning. I'll cheer you on, even if I'm against you in game. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.